starting. هاي بس دي عندك فيها.
Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session, the third session of the Xamarin Marathon. Today we have with us MVP Hussein Dellai. We will start technical session with him. Then we'll move to the questions and answers, technical or anything about the Xamarin Marathon. So thank you again for joining us, and let's start with MVP Hussein Dellai.
Thank you, Firas. Today we'll see a little demo on how to publish a web application on Windows Azure, because in Xamarin Marathon, participants are asked to develop a mobile application that communicates with an ASP.NET application. Then we need to host that ASP.NET on Azure, and that ASP.NET application might have a database to store data. So this demo will focus on how to publish our website and how to create that database and connect it to our ASP.NET application. So here I'll go and share my screen to see the demo application window. After that, we'll have QA, so you can ask any questions about hosting apps to Azure or questions about Xamarin. So I share my screen. Cool. So from here, I open a Visual Studio, and I'll go and create an ASP.NET application. So I go to File, New Project, and this is just a simple ASP.NET app. So I choose Web, then go to ASP.NET Web Application, .NET Framework. Let's call it Web App 2. Then from here, click OK. And then I choose here the right template. And for you, I think the right template should be the Web API template right here, because this one will enable you to create web services. You can create also web services using the MVC template, but it's ready when using the Web API template right here. So I'll go and create this project. Click OK. I hope everyone have already an Azure subscription. If you don't already have an Azure subscription, you can get one from the Microsoft Imagine website. And maybe Firas, if you do have the link, maybe you can share it on the discussion thread. Now our application is created. We'll go and create, or we'll go and add some model to just have some data to store in our database. So I'll go. Right-click and click Add, New Class. From here, we'll add the class, we call it Product. So this is a demo to show how to create database and how to host it on Azure. Our product class have properties like the ID, it's of type integer. This one is required as the primary key for our database. Then let's add another property to say this is going to be the name of our product. This should be okay. Now click Ctrl-Shift-D or go to build and build the solution before you go and add a controller, because this is required in order to be able to add a new controller. Now we can add controllers. So here we already have two controllers. We'll add another one that will manage our products database. So we go to controllers, add controller, and from here we go and choose Web API 2 controller with actions using Entity Framework. Model class, our model is going to be the product, because we want to have a table products, and then we can create all the CRUD operations against that table. Data context class, here we don't have any, so we go and create a new data context. We call it products context with P uppercase, add, then that will create products controller for us. The controller is being generated by Visual Studio. Once that's generated, now we can go and add some new products. So let's quickly launch this app and try to add some products to this one. To do that, here I'll use ReSharper. So let's try to launch ReSharper. Or Postman, sorry, it's Postman, not ReSharper. Postman, the tool used to test our web API. So right from here, if I go to take a look at all the list of my products under this link right here, API/products, I go here to my website, API/products, then here it's creating the database and it's returning a null value because it's an empty array because right now we don't have any product in our database. So let's add a new product. For that, I'll use again this same URL right here to invoke the post method that will help us to add another product to our database. So let's create a breakpoint here to make sure it's being executed. Now let's go to Postman, create an HTTP request. So we'll use that URL, but here we want to create a post request. Then at the body, we want to send a row of type JSON application/JSON. Then from here, we create our first product. We don't need to pass an ID, so just we pass the name of our product. So remember, our product model have ID and name. So right here, I go and specify that name. Let's say here it's laptop, for example. Then we hit send. Cool, now this was sent to our web service. Hit continue. Good. Let's add another product. Let's say here we want to add also TV, for example. And then now in the database, we do have two items. If I go and verify that right here, if I go and refresh, now I get those two items returned as JSON objects. Cool. Now our database is created locally. Okay. Now we want to host all this up to Azure. So what we do, we go to Azure portal. For here, I launch the Azure portal. And from Azure portal, we do have two steps to go through. So I don't need this. The first one is creating the website, and the second step is creating the database. So we'll go through each step. So we go to Azure portal right here. And we'll start by creating our website to host our application. Login. Okay. Cool. So right here, I do have many subscriptions. So I should choose the right one. Let's see this, for example. This seems disabled. Okay. Oops. Let's see this one. Cool. Now from here, I can choose the right subscription for me. So subscriptions, and here I just choose Visual Studio Enterprise 2. Cool, and hit apply. So from here to create a new the space for hosting our ASP.NET application, we go to New from the Azure portal. We choose Web plus Mobile. And here we do have the two options for hosting your application as a web app or mobile app. In this challenge, some of you might opt to choose the mobile app template, which will generate for you a Xamarin application and the backend for that app. And the backend have all the logic for logging in, for using social media, for sending push notifications. So it helps you a lot. So I'll go and show you how to do that with web app, and the process is almost the same. So the same way you host a web app is the same way you host a mobile app template. So we give our application a name. Let's call it Xamarin Marathon, and let's make sure this is not taken. Oh, it was taken. So let's add minus Xamarin. That also was taken. Let's say Xamarin Marathon 1. Good. So we choose to create or to use an existing resource group. So let's choose this one, for example, and then you choose your app service plan. If you don't have one, you go and create one and you pick it. Then here, application insights, you don't need that right now. If you want to pick this website to your dashboard so that you can get an overview about the state of your website, if it's running or there is some problems in your website. Now our website is being created. Deployment and progress. Cool. I see some questions starting to be asked right here. Okay. Just we finished. I see some questions starting to be asked right here. Okay, now the deployment was succeeded. Just we finished some questions starting to be asked right here. Oops. There we go. So the deployment was succeeded. Now we can go to our website here, and from inside overview, we do have this option here for get publish profile. So right now this website is still empty, so we don't see any traffic right here, and we'll use the get publish profile in order to download this publish profile settings, which have all the credentials in order to access to this website and upload all the DLLs and all the our application to this website. So we'll go and use that from Visual Studio. And within Visual Studio, I can here go to my project, right click, and from here, I can say publish. So we do have this option for publishing our application that we have just created. If I go here and choose the right template for importing a file. So here we do have some couple of options you can go through, but here I think the most easy one is to import the publish profile, because that one have all the necessary credentials to publish your website. So import profile, go to the downloads, and from here we get the publish settings. Now Visual Studio is opening that file, and trying to read all the credentials from within that file. And now it started already to deploy or to publish our website. And that will take just a few seconds. So it will be published under this URL, xamarin-marathon1.azurewebsites.net. That will take some time, but we can skip. As you see here, you might note that I didn't create a database yet for my website. So when the website will be launched, and if I try to access the /API/products, then we'll have no data. So if I go here /API/products, we go and try to invoke this URL to get the list of the products. To spin up the website will take some seconds to get things ready. I just wanted you to see that when invoking the API/products, we'll get an error saying that we don't have a database configured for our website. So what we need to do in that case is that we need to attach a database for our website. We do have that option to do that right here from the website configuration. So if I go to the menu where I can configure my database, we do have here data connections. So we select data connections, and data connections tells me here that I don't have yet a data connection. So I can go and create a new one and attach that database to my website. So here I choose to attach a SQL database. Go and configure that SQL database. So here it will give me all the databases that I have created. So if you don't have any database right here, you can go and create a new database, and that's by filling those data right here. So you give your application a name, you choose where to put your database, or you choose your server actually, then you choose the pricing tier, and here for the pricing tier you can just go and opt for the free one. That's enough for our scenarios. So we already done that. So for me now, I'll just go and pick the database that I already have created, which is here called Ship Ideas DB. So I choose that database. Then the third step here is that I should give I should create a connection string key for my database, so I can use that connection string to give it a value. So this is the key, and the value will be given later when we publish the app from within Visual Studio. Should give the admin username. I hope I don't forget that. Okay. So those the admin username and SQL admin password, you configure it when you create a new database server. Oops, that's not the right credentials. Try this one. Okay. It seems I have missed the database connection string, but okay. We can go back here and click OK. But here, the idea is that after, let's say that now I have successfully added a database, then what you would go and do is to re-download again your publish settings. So you would go again to your website. So let's go to all resources and go again to our website, which we call it Xamarin Marathon. From here, you would go and download again the publish settings. And now the publish settings will contain also, in addition to the credentials to host your website, will contain the connection string for the database. So you would configure that when you publish your application. If you go again and hit publish, now you choose the settings, you will have those steps. So here it gets the information for publishing the website. If we go to next, then here it's asking for the information to host our database. So here it knows that we do have a database, a local database called products context. And here it's asking for the connection string to be able to connect to that database. So here, if I spin it here, it should give me the database that I have configured from my website. So then I just go and publish it, and then the database will be attached, and they can add and remove data from that database. Cool, so this was all the demo. And now I think it's time for your questions. Firas, if we have questions. So I can read right here. I spent 1 week working on authentication, native mix, Xamarin Forms. I think of using Azure Mobile Client SDK. Does it do the native? Okay, so we do have here a question from Tarek Alwi. He's asking about login or doing authentication using the native user experience in Xamarin Forms. Right now, we do have some issues when using the Google login, because Google doesn't support anymore login using the web view. So any authentication based on web view, it won't work with Google right now. Instead, Google recommends using the native SDK for Android and for iOS. So they do have all the documentation that will show you how to invoke those SDKs. So instead of having the user to type his login and username, you only click the sign in with Google, and your application will get an access token, and you can be authenticated through Google. Azure Mobile SDK also provides this functionality, so you can do authentication using Google, Twitter, Facebook, or Microsoft using the native SDK provided in Azure. Tarek also is asking if I can show how to do authentication with Google without web views. Yes, I will do that, but not today. I'm preparing a demo for that. So yeah, I try to do that later.
Okay, so Shia is asking also, could you please
Sorry,
explain
Firas?
the Shia is asking, could you please explain the concept of services in MVVM, please?
The Mvvm design pattern.
Yes.
Okay, so you can create, when you create your user interfaces in Xamarin Forms, you go, for example, create a text or create a label, you create your controls, buttons, and entries. Then for the click of that button, for example, you generate that click and the event handler will be generated and the code behind. But that is a little bit difficult to maintain and to unit test. So instead of doing that, we use a design pattern MVVM, and the goal is to make your application maintainable and easy to unit test. So to do that, we need to separate the UI code from the application code. And the separation is done by using MVVM. So MVVM, instead of having your views bound to your code behind, your views with MVVM will communicate with a view model. So the view model will have all the application code, which will be really separated from your UI views. So that way you can achieve, let's say, 100% separation between views and view models. Not any application is required to use MVVM. It's good to use it, but if you are new to it, and if you then I would recommend, of course, um, watching some videos or some tutorials that will show you step by step how to apply MVVM and how to apply all the principles of MVVM design pattern. I do also have videos in my channel. You can check those, and they could help you to learn MVVM design pattern.
Okay, so
Okay.
thank you, Hussein. So regarding the Microsoft Imagine and the Microsoft Azure account, so to activate the Microsoft Azure account, you need to have the Microsoft Imagine account and you have the code. And to have the Microsoft Imagine account, you just need your student card or a code that we can give you. So if you need anything, just ping us and we will provide you with the code.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So another question. So for Ali Khan, uh, he is enabled to install the hardware accelerator from the SDK manager or manually. In SDK manager, it is saying not compatible with Windows.
Uh,
So
no, I think it should work for Windows.
yes,
I think it should work for Windows. Hexam, it works for Windows. Okay, but guys, if you want to debug your application on Android, just use the Android device. Don't go to use the emulators. I, I, I guess you have an Android device, so just use your device instead of using the emulator. They are more quick to download or to deploy. You deploy your application faster, and you get the real user experience of your application. So don't mess with all the configuration needed to configure Hexam or Android emulators as you have a device. Another question here asking if Xamarin is an MVC architecture. Here I was explaining MVVM, and here we can say about MVVM, it's the MVC for mobile applications. MVC is for web applications, but MVVM is almost the same as they share the same principle, which is separating the views from the application code. So MVVM and MVC share this principle, and we can't say we implement MVC in Xamarin, but we can say we implement Xamarin MVC in iOS applications, but for Xamarin, we say we use the MVVM instead of MVC. So Xamarin is, we can use MVVM with Xamarin applications. Okay. Is there a way to integrate Firebase and Firebase UI in Xamarin? I didn't check it that, but I believe I saw an article published by Xamarin saying that you could do Firebase integration in Xamarin applications. So you could use the push notifications coming from Firebase, and also you can configure your app to communicate with Firebase application. So I also believe Xamarin have released all the SDK that wraps the Firebase for Android SDK to be used in Xamarin Forms and Xamarin Android native applications. So I would say almost yes, you can use Firebase with Xamarin.
Okay, great. So, is there any questions?
Here, another question. Xamarin is showing error and namespace in UWP and iOS app. Oops. So those errors coming from Xamarin, what I recommend here is to go and create a new project, build it, and see if that error exists in your new project. If that's the case, then maybe you can go and relaunch Visual Studio, go to your solution, right click, hit clean, then rebuild solution. So that could help in some scenarios to solve some of those issues. So you go to your solution, clean, then rebuild solution. Try that. I haven't found that MSP from Tunisia who can guide me to configure my Mac VM and connect it to my machine VM. I want to connect.
He's talking about Ghassan. So just add your post in the group and we will guide you through that.
Okay, this is his name, Ghassan bin Haj. I have tried many times. That errors was still here. Yes, errors might persist in your application. So you maybe, what I could suggest, make sure also you do have all the latest updates from Xamarin. So you have to go each time and check from Visual Studio if you are running the all new version in Visual Studio. The emulator does not start properly. Again, use your Android device instead of the emulator. It's 1,000 times better than the emulator. And it's so simple to configure. So you go and enable debugging in your device through the developer options. Then with USB cable, you are able to instantly deploy your application to your device. Any other questions? Questions? Firas, I saw that some have submitted their apps and they are verified.
Yes, some of the students and developers got their certificates. So everyone, please share with us your certificates in the group so that we'll celebrate all uh, with this marathon. And we only have 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks until the challenge will end. So
Oh, cool.
I think that's it, Hossein, for today.
If you don't have any other questions yet,
Yes, I think that's it.
cool. So for until the next session, we say you goodbye.
Thank you, Hossein. Thank you all. Thank you, Microsoft team. Thank you, developers, for joining us. And see you during the next session. Don't forget to post your questions, to post your certificates, anything you need to ask or to discuss about the Xamarin Marathon. It's in the Facebook group. So thank you all for joining us. Good luck and see you next time. Yeah, bye bye.
See you. Bye bye.